All right, 3, 2, 1, and welcome back to the Fantasy Open podcast.
We're back
folks.
again. Love it.
We're back again one more time. I got fuzz on my microphone. But it's
you haven't
okay.
met Fuzz.
Who's Fuzz?
You should read Secret History. Maybe you'll fucking find out. All right? Anyway, we got some real fun topics on the docket here. We got 3 nice cuts of meat. We're starting with new One Piece news. Just came out today.
New One Piece news just came out earlier this morning thanks to Anime NYC and One Piece Day. So we have a God Valley movie in the works for 2027, which lines up perfectly with the end of Elbaf and how they were planning on, slowing down the pacing or not slowing down the pacing, but making sure the animation would improve and going seasonal for the anime. But we're going to get a God Valley movie in 2027 for the next part. So I doubt we're going to see any actual One Piece anime in 2027 because all that work's going to be going into the God Valley movie.
Okay, so you think they're not going to do serialized episodes for the whole year?
Based off what they're talking about doing, I don't think so. Unless they've already plotted out that they're going to do the God Valley movie at like the beginning of 2027. And then we'll get like 26 episodes of the anime after it later on in 2027.
Right.
I don't think that's the case. I think they're going to put their whole hearts into making a really high quality God Valley movie. We'll just have to wait and see, of course.
But what about the new remake One Piece show?
So that's completely separate.
Okay.
That's a completely separate thing. Different studio entirely. Wit Studio is the ones that are doing the One Piece remake. They're the same people that did Attack on Titan seasons 1 through 3.
Money.
So that's gonna be fantastic. But yeah, this God Valley movie is insane to hear about. First of all, people have been asking for a God Valley movie for years, ever since the manga first introduced God Valley back in Egghead.
It was like the perfect, it's like dangling from it. It's like low-hanging fruit dangling from a tree. Like, yeah, make a One Piece movie about this.
It'll be the first canon One Piece movie too. All the One Piece movies that have come before it have not been canon material. This will be an actually canon movie, kind of like how Demon Slayer Infinity Castle is.
Okay, and so Red was just completely non-canon?
Red was completely non-canon. I don't care what anybody says. People are like, oh, Uta herself as her character was actually canon to the story because she showed up in one silhouette during Wano when people were talking about Shanks. Screw off. Uta's not canon in any way, shape, or form.
Up, though. Anything that boosts Shanks' market value, all right, I'm behind. I forgot, I hadn't watched One Piece in so long. I forgot how awesome Observation Hockey is. Like the Shanks future sight, the it's so electric. Anyway,
so yeah, God Valley is getting a full canon movie. Now this is going to be for the Elbaf God Valley section, which covers only 4 to 5 chapters of the manga in God Valley specifically. So I don't think the whole movie is going to be God Valley. I think they're going to do a movie for the entire Elbaf flashback from the point where Loki starts telling the Straw Hats about his story, and then at the end of it, it'll go into the God Valley and everything will wrap up through there.
Right.
So that's about 19 chapters, right? That's chapter 1152 to 1171. So it's 19 chapters to cover in, let's give them a 2-hour movie. So how long was Infinity Castle? Like 2.5 hours?
Maybe. Was it even that long?
I don't know. I think it was around 2 hours.
Okay.
Was Infinity Castle. But Infinity Castle covered 18 chapters in that 2-hour movie. So One Piece will have the exact same amount of content to cover in that time frame. So I think they're setting themselves up for success. And that way, when the One Piece anime does come back, hopefully we'll be able to focus a little bit more on not adapting less than one or only one chapter an episode.
Yeah, okay. I'm a fan of that.
And get rid of the pacing.
I'm curious, how do you think this flashback stacks up to the length of the other One Piece flashbacks?
So this is a pretty long one.
I was gonna say it feels a bit longer than the average.
a lot of One Piece flashbacks tend to be like 5 to 10 chapters long, but this is definitely one of the longer ones because you have all of Loki's backstory and how he grew up, and then from Loki's backstory, you have another backstory flashback into it. So it's a flashback within a flashback.
Backstoryception, bro.
Yeah, so they have to cover all of Loki's stuff, and then they'll go into the Rocks and God Valley side of things, and we'll get to see.
It's just an exposition fest.
We'll get to see Roger and Garp versus Rocks on the big screen. And it's going to be absolutely insane. So this is obviously we're doing spoilers for One Piece here. If you guys haven't tapped in,
it's funny because I'm not caught up with the manga, so it's like I don't think you are either.
I am caught up with the manga.
Oh, okay, so
I got caught up with the manga like 3 weeks ago.
Okay, I'm still back a little bit
because I saw all the Luffy slander images online of Luffy getting stabbed by Emu, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna have to figure out whether this slander is valid or not. So I caught up, and shocker, the slander was not valid at all. all.
Okay,
So-
I gotta make sure my boy's not on fraud watch. Make sure
basically
my
what I
goat,
had to do.
my goat Luffy's not on the list. No, he's cleared. He's beaten.
He's cleared
allegations
for
left and right.
100% cleared. So the question is, though, how is this God Valley movie going to stack up to a lot of the other big anime movies
the
we've
question.
gotten in the
That's
past
the
couple of years?
question.
So Demon Slayer made what, around $780 million
I don't know, you
at
know
the
better
box
than I.
office? Yes.
And look at Reze too, because for like a smaller market, big anime movie for reference as well.
Well,
Like it should
look-
crush that.
Well, look at we gotta label how audience friendly a God Valley movie is first. So
Very true.
Demon Slayer is a very easy series to get into. It's very mainstream for a lot of new anime fans even, and there's only a few seasons that you have to watch, and so a lot of people were probably pretty darn caught up on Demon Slayer before that movie came
Right,
out.
and it's the obvious continuation. There's no season 5. It's just go to the theater to see how the story continues. A God Valley movie kind of feels like a DLC that you have to be a One Piece fan. Like being a One Piece fan is a prerequisite for going to see the movie, of course. But like, I guess that's kind of true for the Demon Slayer one as well. But it's not necessary to the story. But it is.
It is at the same time.
It's
So this
completely
you make a
canon.
good point here. So the fact that this movie is 100% a treat for people that are fully caught up on the series. But I'm just gonna say it. You could totally go watch this God Valley movie with absolutely no knowledge of One Piece,
Right.
Because it's gonna be a flashback movie that's not gonna have any of the main characters involved in it. None of the Straw Hats are gonna be in it, which is absolutely crazy to think about.
Sure.
A One Piece movie with no Straw Hats.
Yeah, that is nuts.
But you can go into this movie because it's at the beginning of the One Piece timeline.
True.
From everything
That's a
they've
good
showed
point.
us, it's completely detached from any of the other stuff. Sure, you're gonna get a few reveals spoiled for you, like who certain characters' parents are, who certain characters interact with throughout the series. But it will be a condensed story. You will be able to go into a God Valley movie at the start. See Loki's life from the start to finish, and then go to the God Valley stuff, and then finish out Loki's life.
Right.
And you won't need to have any context from anything prior to that to actually
Right.
enjoy it and understand the movie.
You'll be able to enjoy the movie for sure, but I still think there's a barrier to entry to like enjoying it in its full extent because like you're not going to care about Newgate and Roger as much unless you've watched One Piece. Like we love Whitebeard, we love the whole Rocks crew thing and how it was just the most busted crew of all time. Watching that context as a fan is going to be super validating, fulfilling, blah blah blah. But like you're not wrong. Like yeah, you can go in, watch the backstory chronologically. Yeah, you could just follow along. But it's not going to hit as hard as it would for a real fan. I guess you could say that for most anime movies, period, though.
It's not going to hit as hard, but it's going to be easier to convince people who have never watched One Piece before to go watch this movie.
You think?
Because imagine how many people that we know that like we've tried to get to watch One Piece and they're like, oh, it's too long. Oh, I don't want to get into it. Oh, it just seems
Like,
like
it doesn't get good until Eni's Lobby at episode 432. I'm not watching that. You know, it's
yeah,
like,
like it's a lot to get
They don't
into,
get it.
and
You don't
I
get it.
understand that it's a lot to get into for a lot of people. A lot of people don't want to commit that amount of time to watching One Piece.
the barrier
Totally,
to entry for One Piece is high already. No matter what, you can't get around that.
yeah. So I think, oh god, I'm gonna sneeze. Ugh.
You're good.
Ugh. I think this is actually a good opportunity to try to convince your friends to watch One Piece.
And it's gonna be sick too. It's gonna be insanely high.
It's gonna be
There's
insane
gonna be fights. Like
because they'll be able to follow along with the movie through the flashback because of how separated it is from the main story. But at the same time, it's going to show them insane animation. It's going to get them interested in some of the characters and what
True.
they mean to the grand world of One Piece as a whole. And it might be able to convince people to watch more One Piece. I
Yeah.
think that's been a big focus of the One Piece IP in recent years with the remake and this movie
Yeah.
in general is going to be how many new people can we get to watch One Piece? Because that's the biggest problem that One Piece has is the
Yep.
barrier to entry. There's so many people that don't want to watch it because of how long it is and they don't care enough about the characters to watch that much of a show.
And so to such an extent, it's part of like anime culture now is like a meme. It's like, oh, One Piece is super long. How have the One Piece fans watched all these episodes? And oh, it'll take X hours to fully watch and catch up with the whole show if you watch all the filler. And it's like, oh, it's ridiculous. The framing that's cast on One Piece, it's something that the franchise cannot get away from. That should be priority one.
Yeah, which is why
Yeah.
the remake is happening in the first place. It's probably why they did the live action as well to try
Yeah.
to like get people that are like hesitant to watch animated shows into One Piece by giving them a live action version of it and saying, hey, oh, by the way, there's 1,000 episodes of this show that you like and it's animated. I know you might not like the fact that it's animated, but maybe you like the characters enough from watching the live action that you'll be willing to check it out.
Your fix back, here's 1,000 episodes, here's 1,000 hits, there you go.
Yeah, so that's been a big part of the One Piece IP. So I think that'll be the big focus of God Valley, is making sure they deliver a super sick product with high quality animation and visuals that grasps people's attention, and you can watch it without knowing everything there is to know about One Piece. So that's a big part of it, and I think that plays into how much money the movie is going to end up making by how easy it is to go and watch it in theaters. I also think a lot of people are underestimating like just how many fans of One Piece there are in the world that are actually caught up on One Piece, because you got to understand, this is the best-selling manga on the face of the planet, dude.
Sure.
So like to like sit here and say that, oh, Demon Slayer is probably not going to surpass Demon Slayer's earnings at the box office, because Demon Slayer is much easier to get into, and it's for lack of a better word, it's for normies.
Sure. It was unique too. The Demon Slayer thing is its own phenomenon, though, to be fair. It's hard to really draw a direct comparison.
So basically, here's my prediction on how much money the God Valley movie is going to make. I think it will bare minimum make as much as the Demon Slayer movie.
As Infinity Castle?
As Infinity Castle did. Now, why do I say that? Like I said before, because of how many people in the world are actually caught up to One Piece. It's a lot bigger of a number than you think it is. There are so many people worldwide that love One Piece so much that I can 100% see it making as much money as Demon Slayer. Now, you brought up Chainsaw Man Reze earlier, and I thought to myself, okay, well, how much money did Reze make? Only about $180 million.
Yeah, it's a lot for a Chainsaw Man movie.
That's a lot for a Chainsaw Man movie. You got to understand that before this, there's only one season of Chainsaw Man, 12 episodes. It's a much more niche series that isn't exactly kid-friendly in any way, shape, or form. I'd argue that even with Demon Slayer's like gore and the fact that it was a rated R movie, like, it's still a lot more family friendly, and you could totally take your kids to go see it if they're like 10, 11, 12 years old, as compared to like taking your 12 to 13-year-old to see Chainsaw Man Reze with as much nudity as there is in that movie and how much blood and gore there is in Chainsaw
100%.
Man. So I think that One Piece is far more family friendly than even Demon Slayer is. So kids are going to have no problem watching that, especially kids that have grown up watching One Piece. So that's going to be a big part of it too. I do think there is a world where this movie makes more money than the Demon Slayer movie, man. I
don't
really
think it's impossible. Another thing you haven't brought up is the fact that like the last One Piece movie to come out, Red, I think that was before like they're like the Reze movie, Infinity Castle, Mugen Train, and Red, and I'm sure I'm forgetting a couple others, have proven that like US domestic anime movie watching in theaters is a hit and it works. Right, that's been proven since the last One Piece movie. I think there's a bigger market in general for anime fans that are going to take themselves to see a movie in theaters. That could help your position a little bit. I think that's pretty.
Let me. I just looked this up. One Piece Film Red made $246 million as a non-canon One Piece movie that you didn't need to go watch. So if you looked at One Piece and were like, do I need to go see this movie to understand the story of One Piece? The answer is no. And it still made $250 million. So for a canon One Piece movie to come out and people be like, oh, yeah, this is something you're gonna have to go see if you're an anime-only viewer of One Piece and you want to know what happens next in the story. You have to go see this movie. It's incredibly important.
That would be... Okay, if they do that, they should do that when the One Piece gets revealed. It should not be a manga chapter that's going to get scanned and leaked out as to infinitude extent, okay? They should do a movie and drop it to the whole world at the same night, and then everyone goes sees the One Piece movie premiere.
I think that's a little bit optimistic.
It's ambitious and optimistic.
It's ambitious, but also incredibly optimistic at the same time to assume that the second that chapter drops, everybody's going to know what the One Piece is.
That's what I'm saying. Don't drop the chapter at all. Don't drop a chapter
One Piece. It's not going to happen.
Until after.
It's not going to happen, dude. As much as we want that to happen, it's not going to happen.
It just doesn't make sense.
It really doesn't make sense to do it that way.
If there ever was an outlier in anime history to justify something that unique, it would be this moment. Though,
Oda would have to hold off on drawing that manga chapter for 2 years and wait for the anime to catch up to where he is currently in the manga, and then they'd have to like promote the whole theatrical release, and there would be no One Piece manga chapter for probably 2.5 years. That's how hard you would have to put off that to be able to make that possible. So I don't think that's a unfortunately, that's just not a possibility. It's going to be the same thing. It's just the curse of being a manga reader.
Yeah.
Because like if you're not reading the manga, you are unfortunately missing out. It's same thing with JJK and how we know what happens with Gojo and Sukuna, even though it hasn't been animated yet and probably won't be animated for another 3 or 4 years, despite the fact that the manga despite the fact that the manga ended in 2024. So like people already know what's going to happen there, and unfortunately, they're not going to get to see it until probably 2030. So
I know people who've never watched anime that knows the big end of JJK spoiler. They're like, "Oh, doesn't this happen to this character?" And it's like, kind of.
So
it's
going to be next to impossible to stop the entire internet from knowing what the One Piece is the chapter that it gets revealed.
You're absolutely right there. Another thing just popped into my head. Keep this in mind though. Red was riding the high of the Gear 5 drop, which was like the biggest moment in One Piece.
That's also part of it. You're right, because they did drop a Gear 5 scene in that movie.
Right, and that was like it came out like the summer after the Gear 5 chapter dropped. Right, that summer I think we went and saw it.
Yeah, we saw Film Red. We got Gear 5 in Film Red like a good 6 months before it came out in the anime.
Yeah, and yes, that's a fact. But it was after the manga chapter.
So it was like a little bit after the manga chapter, and that's why Uta was included in that one little Shanks moment when he was thinking about characters at the end of Wano. But yeah, so if Film Red was able to make $250 million as a non-canon movie, bro, dude, I can easily see this God Valley movie making upwards of $700 million.
If they hype it up enough, if they hype it up the right way too, and enough like influencers like get on the God Valley train to where it's like a big thing, and it will be, then yeah, you could be right.
I mean, they're going to have to promote it really well. Hopefully, I get a call on that.
Yeah,
someone reaches out to me. I get to go to the one, dude. If I get to go to a premiere of One Piece God Valley in person,
I'd be so hyped for you, dude.
Oh, that would be freaking amazing, dude. Toei, get in contact with me.
Yeah. Hook a boy up.
I will make as many One Piece Glaze videos as you want me to. You don't understand.
Yeah.
I want to go to that premiere so badly.
Yeah. He'd be so excited to do that. He'd have a little white stream follow him around at the premiere everywhere he goes. Just a trail. You're locked in like a perma bus sequence. Oh no! We cannot be making those faces on the internet, dog.
Are you sure about that? I think I could do that, no problem.
Are you sure about that?
Are you sure about that? So yeah, like I said, dude, the potential for this God Valley movie is genuinely insane.
It does have crazy potential. It could be like the best One Piece movie by far.
Dude, for all we know, it could make $1 billion. If I don't think $1 billion, dude. If Spider-Man Brand New Day can make nearly $3 billion, a One Piece movie that's canon and necessary to the story can make $1 billion.
Okay, if it's like the end of One Piece movie, like I just was referring to, then I kind of get it. I don't think it's hitting $1 billion. Spider-Man is different. It's different markets, different demographics, different audiences.
That's true, but like.
Spider-Man is the one fictional character immune to like industry fatigue, genre fatigue. Like that's his whole thing now. It's like he's immune to superhero fatigue. Just Spidey.
Well, you got to understand that like Spider-Man in America is the same way One Piece is treated in Japan.
This is fair. I was thinking that too.
You got to compare. You got to imagine like how much money the One Piece movie is going to make in Japan alone,
right?
And then compare that to the rest of the world,
and factor in the big U.S. population that loves anime,
and the people that follow One Piece on a frequent basis. I mean, just for me making One Piece videos on the internet have gotten millions upon millions upon millions of views just talking about individual One Piece episodes. So you got to think of like how many people are willing to go buy a ticket for that.
Yeah.
So
I don't know how the business works and the box office sale, how all that like functions.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know the specifics of it either.
Basis.
But I just don't think there's a way that it doesn't make at least as much money as Demon Slayer Infinity Castle did.
I think it could. I mean, if it gets hyped up enough, if enough people are on board and like the internet consciousness feels similar to how it did around the Infinity Castle movie, then yeah, I think you're right. But Infinity Castle does have the added benefit of having like an anime drought. Like people have no idea what's happening in Demon Slayer for a year and a half or a year.
Yeah,
whatever.
that's true.
And then it's like, oh my gosh, like their fight didn't. Also, the end of the season was a cliffhanger right before Infinity Class. So, dum, and they just all
Yeah, and they
drop.
all fall in. That's a good point,
Like
too.
if I'm 13 and I'm watching that as a kid, and it's like, oh, to figure out what happens to Tanjiro and the gang, I have to watch the movie. I'm telling mom.
Well, the same thing is going to
I'm telling
happen with the
mom,
One
take it.
Piece anime and the fact that when this season of Elbath ends, it's going to end leading right into that flashback. So
Right.
it's going to be a similar situation. It's just a matter of how many anime fans are actually watching the One Piece anime compared to reading the manga.
True.
Because we have a lot more, I'd imagine we'd have a lot more manga readers of One Piece than we do anime watchers, just
Yeah.
in general, because of how
The
many
manga's also just better.
because
like,
people, because of how bad the pacing in the anime is and how much more enjoyable it is to read the manga, and the fact that people are reading the manga because they don't want to be spoiled when the One Piece does get revealed.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I did. That's the same exact thing I did as soon as I
As
got it.
opposed to Demon Slayer, where the manga's been done since 2023, and there's still a vast amount of people who have absolutely no idea how the series ends because they've only been watching the anime.
I have no idea.
Because of how insanely well animated the anime is,
I've
and
got
how
no
how
spoilers for the end of Demon Slayer, except I like think I know the twist at the end, but like I don't care. No one. Demon Slayer is not peak because of its manga. Okay.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Yeah,
All right?
definitely. I'd say it's a very inverse situation where One Piece
Rare. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
One Piece fans care a lot more about the manga than they do the anime, and Demon Slayer fans care a lot more about the anime than they do the manga. So it's a bit vice versa, and it's a bit backwards, but I still think that One Piece's popularity can just hold it out, man. I mean, I
That
think
could
it can
make the
carry
difference.
it.
I will say though, I do think like One Piece hype now is a little lower in general overall than it was during the Gear 5 era a couple years ago. In terms of peak interest in One Piece, I think when Gear 5 was coming out, that was peak internet.
Roof Piece was
interest.
kind of like
Roof
peak
Piece.
One Piece for the internet, and then weekly Roof Piece was genuinely insane to
Yeah.
experience while reading the manga on a weekly basis. There was really nothing like it aside from end of JJK leaks and stuff like that.
That was a spiritual experience. Watching the end of JJK manga like leaks come out week to week was like, we know that
Actually bonkers.
you had to be there.
Yeah.
You had to be there. For the origin of Lobotomy Kaizen is like I have a theory. Like Lobotomy Kaizen is informed like slang, the state of slang right now, but we'll say that for another.
Oh yeah,
episode.
well, and it's a combination of Lobotomy Kaizen and Roof Piece slander, like combining together and forming this amalgamation of like anime and manga fans that like
It's a cesspool.
just purely speak in slander.
Just like it's like an echo chamber of just like dissent and like they need to change this.
Yeah, stuff like that. But yeah, so like One Piece and JJK is kind of like the foundation of that, and that's why I think that people will be
true.
excited for this God Valley movie because people care a lot about One Piece.
It's One Piece.
It's One Piece, bro.
It's One
I'm
Piece,
sorry. No
man.
matter you can hate One Piece as much as you want.
You can always pull that card. It's One Piece.
It's One Piece, dude. It's the most popular anime on the face of the planet. It's really not close. Like, dude,
It's One Piece.
One Piece has sold more copies than Bleach and Naruto combined.
No shot.
Yes.
All right, that's mind blowing.
It's like, dude,
because those are two long series. as
yes,
well.
bro. And when it was running
And
alongside
Boruto
them,
sucks.
even when One Piece was running alongside Bleach and Naruto together, it was still outselling them. Even though,
Boruto sucks.
even though,
Ass. Sorry. It's so the manga is ass. It's monthly, and the average art student in undergrad could do better art.
yeah, dude, he just spams.
Clip that.
He just spams speed lines like as backgrounds, and it looks horrible.
It's monthly. It's ass.
Dude, if you don't understand, if the guy that draws Kagurabachi was able to do his
Oh,
chapters on a
bro.
monthly basis, oh my good lord, do you have any idea how pretty that series would look? Compare
Dude,
weekly
I
Kagurabachi.
read the first two from you.
Compare weekly Kagurabachi to monthly Boruto, and you will want to absolutely slaughter everybody involved with the production of Boruto. I swear to God.
Yeah, I'm gonna like instant transmission to Kishimoto's place and just like pants him. I don't know. Anyway, all right.
And people, I mean, I know people are going to say to me saying that, oh, well, you don't actually like Boruto. You're not actually a fan. Look on that shelf for me. What do you see at the bottom of that shelf there? Why don't you grab one of those for me and tell me what you got there for me?
I see. Okay, wait. This might have been the one in the part of Boruto that was actually sick, though.
See, I own the first 10 volumes of Boruto.
Yeah.
I tried my best to give Boruto a chance and actually get into it. I enjoyed some of the beginning of Boruto, but dude, the art is so abysmal compared to the rest of
This is
manga.
not objectively bad or anything. It's just bland and normal. And, like, it's like ChatGPT anime.
I guarantee you, I've spent more money on the Boruto franchise than 90% of Boruto fans with just owning those 10 volumes of manga.
I don't doubt it. You want to talk about peak? You want to talk about peak art in manga? Random Dragon Ball issue. You want to talk about paneling? Oh my gosh! I'm just gonna skip over to some sort of conflict.
You definitely just opened right to Vegeta versus Cell, didn't you?
Yeah, I literally did. Like, oh my gosh, dude.
Just the paneling in general is just so much better than.
I'm not even cherry picking here. Like 1-to-1. This was weekly when it was coming out. When Akira was in his like just legendary run. Okay. Anyway.
Yeah, that man is a master of paneling, and I'm sorry, but the Boruto manga just doesn't hold up. It really just doesn't.
Kishimoto was also really strong, especially the first Naruto series had really strong paneling too.
It did, but then Ikimoto took over for Boruto, and it's not that he has bad art style.
No, I'm sure he has the capacity to have amazing art style. Like, I'm sure he has the skill and ability to do so, no doubt. Okay, it's got to be some profit margin BS where they're just like squeezing.
They just
want to,
they just want to put out as much as they can,
save as much as possible. And the guy is probably like, "Oh, I'm making Boruto. I don't need to get."
Let me put this into perspective for you. Boruto has probably, I want to say, around 25 volumes published now between Next Generations and Two Blue Vortex. It's only sold like just over 10 million copies total in like 25 volumes. Do you have any idea how abysmal of sales numbers that is for a manga? That's horrible.
I can't put it into perspective.
That's really bad. Like really bad.
And it's Naruto's son.
And it's like, and people will always say, "Oh, well, people read Boruto online. Oh, you know, like you can get it online and stuff like that." But that's true for every manga ever, dude.
That's priced in.
Like it just means that people that read like One Piece online are still also willing to buy the physical copies.
Yeah.
And at the same time, people that read Boruto online don't like it enough to go ahead and buy the physical copies, man.
Good point.
Or I like to point this out, which gets Boruto fans really mad. It's the fact that a lot of Boruto fans are younger and don't have the money to spend on volumes.
Fair.
So,
well, yeah.
So One Piece fans who have been keeping up with the series for 20 years are now adults and they have money to spend on volumes as well as read it online, while a lot of Boruto fans are probably on the younger side, high schoolers that don't want to spend $10-20 on 2 volumes of Boruto.
And it's also like it's a lot more forgivable to love like a non-peak show if you're not like of age, you know, like if you're 13 or you're like 9 and you love Boruto, like, yeah, that's amazing. I love that for you. I'm not going to be the guy that's like raining on your parade. Cause like, obviously like you're getting a nostalgic imprint. You're young. It's going to like define a part of your life at that point. And then you look back on those memories that I totally get. I'm sure I've enjoyed a lot of garbage like that in that context. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that's forgivable. I'm talking about like 25-year-old neckbeards. Okay. Like us, our fellow neckbeards. That are just glazing this joint because they think Sasuke is still cool. I don't know what it is.
No, they just don't want to accept the fact that Naruto has fallen off to that extent, which it really sucks.
And I disclaimer, I prefer Naruto to One Piece. I love One Piece. I mean, my phone case is the crew, okay? Still.
But you would still have Naruto over One Piece if someone asked you.
In terms of like all-time greats?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's close. In terms of personal enjoyment, I prefer Naruto.
Yeah. So like you're someone that if someone asked you what do you like One Piece more or do you like Naruto more, you'd probably respond Naruto.
Yes, but if I said what would you rank higher all time, I'd have to think about that for a couple.
Yeah,
hours.
that's a different question.
One Piece isn't done.
Yeah, and One Piece isn't finished yet, so we don't really know where to put that. But anyways, just to wrap it back around to God Valley because we just went off on Boruto fans for probably 5.
Because your art is I don't know.
Okay, so anyways, how do you think people are going to react to no Straw Hats being in this movie?
I think that could hurt. Like that could potentially get in the way of your argument here because it's like Luffy's not there. Like there's a straw hat. I don't see it on Luffy's head. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So it's going to be with Roger than anything else. But at the same time, people have been asking for so much more like Roger era like content that I don't think it's going to bother people that much that the Straw Hats aren't in it, because this is like, what's a good way to put it? It's like taking all the legends and just shoving them into one movie.
And it's perfect for the core fans. Like core One Piece fans who it's like, maybe you're caught up, maybe you're like semi caught up, but like you always try to put in your effort to like pop back into the series, and you know that when the One Piece does get revealed, your ass is going to catch up and find out what it is, right? That's the core of One Piece fans, right? We love that. We are literally eat God Valley up, man.
So, and then as far as anime original scenes go, you got to remember that God Valley is only 4 or 5 chapters, the actual fights. So I could be completely wrong, and that they do like 12 to 13 episodes of an anime for the Loki stuff, and then do a movie solely about God Valley and not include the Loki flashback, and just give us insane amounts of expanded, like so many anime only expanded scenes for just God Valley. Like give a huge expansion to Garp and Roger versus Rocks and stuff like that.
You could do some character work too with like his relationship with Newgate and like how the Rocks pirates function, like they're the dynamics between the pre-Yonko, you know? Yeah.
So we'll get to see a lot of interesting stuff. I do think we are definitely going to get some movie-only scenes that aren't a part of the manga. Just because, like, why not? It would really annoy me if they don't, like, expand on what the manga showed us at all. Because, like I said, there were only 4 or 5 chapters of God Valley. I wanted more when reading the manga, that's for sure. Even though I was like, I kind of want to get back to Elbaf and figure out what's going on there. I wanted more from that flashback, dude. Yeah. I wanted to see Roger and Garp pop off a little bit more. They did all right, but yeah, man, there's so much potential for this God Valley movie.
You also got to think like one of people's favorite parts of One Piece as a whole, I think that people commonly cite, is like the Roger flashback in Wano, or the Odin flashback.
Yeah.
That was fantastic. People loved that sequence. And what was that, in the middle of Wano? Or
that was like smack in the middle of Wano, yeah.
Right. That's when the hype started to churn and build and build.
Yeah, and build. You had the Luffy and the crew arrive in Wano, go through the process, meet up with the Kizuki, or is it the
Kizuki's
not
Demon
the Kizuki.
Slayer,
Kizuki's Demon Slayer. The Akazaya 9 is what I'm thinking about.
Wano, man. There's so many like kooky episodes too, like the black and white one where the samurai are like charging Kaido and they all slam him at once. You know what I'm talking about?
But like Wano's also the arc in the anime where the art style got overhauled like crazy, and we have the current art style, like has expanded the current art style we have now. It got a lot more, I guess the word is like fuzzy, but also refined at the same time. Like a lot more, just to be an asshole about it, esoteric.
Sure. Yeah, you're one of that guy. Yeah.
But so Wano had Luffy's arrival and everything, and then they meet up with the Akazaya 9, and then they did the Odin flashback, and then the raid on Onigashima began. So One Piece is known for his flashbacks, man. That's Oda uses flashbacks so well to deliver fantastic stories about his characters. It's literally you cannot go a One Piece arc without getting a flashback of some kind, dude.
It's an immovable object. It's
absolutely,
an immutable part of Oda's like work.
Give Toei a decent amount of time to cook on that. I'm assuming they've had already people working on it by now at this point. Toei's an absolute industry monster when it comes to just pumping out constant quality animation. One Piece anime is the perfect example of that. I mean, they were putting out weekly episodes of actual peak animation for years. So they definitely have the tools needed to make sure that this turns out great. I honestly want to compare it. Don't hate on me for this. Okay. I want to compare this God Valley movie to Dragon Ball Super Broly.
Damn, that's actually great. I don't know how we didn't think of that earlier. It is pretty similar.
Because
it's like a side quest DLC.
You have 2 canon movies that are going to be canon to the source material, and it's Toei animating both of them. True. And you had all those great, awesome scenes in Broly, and those exact same animators are going to be working on God Valley.
That's so hype.
Like, dude, Naotoshi Shida had like 10 to 15 minutes of insanely peak animation in Dragon Ball Super Broly with Gogeta just going insane. And he works on One Piece on a weekly basis, dude.
Yeah.
It's the same guy. You know that kind of fluid animation that I'm talking about?
I know. I've seen the guys work cited before. Chansard, he's American, right?
No, Chansard's French.
Okay.
So I mean, I'd be surprised if Chansard doesn't want to work on that. He loves working on One Piece.
I bet he'd be over the moon to do some DBZ, like if he hasn't already.
I mean, DBZ just hasn't had a project for him to work on.
I was also thinking Broly is unique also because it benefited from both of the unique things that Demon Slayer and God Valley movie are benefiting from. Because like Broly, you could kind of watch without knowing a lot about Dragon Ball because it's just like dudes fighting and it's sick. But it was also the continuation of the show that you needed to watch to see what happens next in Dragon Ball.
Which is actually kind of crazy to me that Broly really didn't make a lot of money.
Yeah, it had to be the timing.
I think
it was before anime movie releases were huge. It was pre-Demon Slayer era. We watched that in 2018?
2019 was when it came out. So like that was like right before the great dude, that was before COVID and right before the great anime shift.
Yeah, exactly.
So
it was before the great anime shift.
The fact that it pulled in $200 million before the great anime shift is honestly kind of nuts now that I think about it.
It's just because Goku, man, he's international, bro.
Anyway. Like if Dragon Ball Super Broly came out today, I say it makes 600 mil easy.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
And I don't want to compare it to Superhero because Superhero's art style was like. Yeah, I don't want to compare it to Superhero because Superhero's art style was just so wonky and bizarre. It was that 3D animation. Also, Goku like wasn't in it at all.
Yeah,
it was kind of like a Broly the Second Coming kind of movie where it was Gohan's focus for the whole thing. And like Beast Gohan was sick and all, but like
Beast Gohan was dope.
That movie is nowhere near as hype as Broly was.
No, they should not be spoken of in the same breath.
So if they can get the same people involved on this God Valley movie that worked on Broly, dude, I
think it'll be a hit.
We're in for a hit. We're 100% in for a hit. And they're also doing another movie in 2029.
I saw that they did like a second. There was a double whammy, right?
BAAD is what it's called, and I've seen a bunch of people like try to theorize on like what BAAD means. Now, I've seen people say that like, oh, it's gonna focus on Blackbeard and some other
anime dicks, bro. That's what we're about to see a movie about. Nah, that was low effort. Continue.
That was low effort. But like people are like translating like Ba'ad in Somalian means like we are like as like we are like the One Piece we are thing, except Blackbeard's real life race is supposed to be Somalian, so that's why people think it's going to be a Blackbeard movie. Obviously, we'll know a lot more about that in years from now because it's scheduled for 2029. Everyone's focused on God Valley right now. But it is sick that they announced 2 One Piece projects.
That is dope. So you're telling me Oda. That's kind of crazy.
What?
Blackbeard's inspired by Somali pirates.
Yeah.
All right, Oda. I'm gonna let the audience sort that out for you.
I thought that was kind of obvious, but
I knew that. It makes sense now, but like.
Anyways, so we're gonna pivot into Doomsday a little bit because we didn't get a chance to talk about Doomsday last week. But this is just another box office discussion, and the fact that Spider-Man made $3 billion at the box office.
I think it just passed 1. I don't think it hit 3. Did it?
Dude, Spider-Man's at like 2.8 right now, isn't it?
Oh my god! I saw a bunch of things about it, like blowing like
Spider-Man
different records at a different way. It's like beat Endgame in a bunch of ways, and it's like the only.
Okay, I was off. It's at 2.2 billion right now.
That's still insane.
Which is still absolutely wild.
I think Endgame made like just under 3 billion.
Yeah, Endgame did like 2.8. I was thinking of Endgame. Endgame did 2.8. Spider-Man did 2.2. So with Spider-Man doing as good as it did, and us not having a Marvel movie between Spider-Man and Doomsday. How much are we thinking Doomsday's going to earn, bro? You think it's going to...
On the high end, it's the best. It's the biggest movie ever. On the low end, it's below Spider-Man, though. Like,
yeah, I agree with that.
Because Spider-Man's unique. The movie was fantastic. Everyone loves Spider-Man. There was also, like... There's a big thing to be talked about. I was reading an article about how this summer kind of felt like a little bit of a revival of the monoculture. Because there was a feeling where everyone was kind of focused and enjoying the same thing at the same time. And a lot of that oriented around New York because of the Knicks. The Knicks won. Spider-Man movie came out. Spirits are high. You know, I think that culminated to help Spider-Man.
The way that I wanted to describe it is that like we're in pop culture limbo right now. This is like the breaking point where like either all the content we're getting in the future is going to be insane or it's going to go back to being ass like it has been for the past 4 years. So
with the MCU, well, also, I want to talk about this at some point. The decision to pivot from Kang to Doom because of the Jonathan Majors BS was actually like such a blessing in disguise. Think about the projects that have come out since that controversy.
Yeah.
Are way better than the ones they started the multiverse saga with, okay?
Yeah, you're not wrong. That's
and you
for
haven't
sure.
seen Fantastic Four yet, and Fantastic Four was great.
I'm going to need to watch that
Okay.
before Doomsday comes out for sure.
Absolutely
Because it's going to be like heavily important for that movie. But yeah, no, I agree. Like since they pivoted away from Kang, we got Thunderbolts, which was great. Deadpool and Wolverine, very, very fun, and it's going to be a big part of Doomsday as well. The second that the Jonathan Major stuff happened, very unfortunate that they had to miss out on Kang because of that. But they pivoted well, dude. They tried their best and they pivoted well. Sure, there are a couple movies and shows in there that didn't do as well as they wanted it to, but we are back in a much better position with the MCU than we were previously. Now, when I say pop culture limbo, I mean just kind of like either the content we get nowadays is either complete garbage or it's fantastic. Like we can go in either direction no matter what comes out, and I think that's a good thing.
It is a good thing.
It is a good thing because for the first time in forever, I'm not like afraid of going to a movie and it being complete garbage and me wasting my money.
Because I remember there were a couple years where you were in like your Marvel depression hole where you like didn't want to go spend money. I didn't want
to go see anything Marvel related. I didn't want to go see anything Star Wars related. I didn't want to go see pretty much any movies in general, bro. Like I in the last 5 years, I've maybe been to the theater 5 or 6 times, and like half of those are for like more than half of those are for anime related purposes. Like just seeing like the first 3 episodes of Dawn to Dawn before they got put out, or Solo Leveling or something like that when they decided to put those in theaters. Those have been a bulk of my theater visits.
Sure.
I haven't really gone to see like blockbusters or anything along those lines. So when I say pop culture limbo, I'm happy that we're in pop culture limbo because it means I don't have to like constantly think about whether or not a movie is going to be complete garbage or not. I can just like go and sit down and enjoy it for myself and not have to like constantly be worrying about whether I'm wasting my time.
Sure.
So that's something that I'm really
faith
happy
has
that
been restored a little bit.
Yeah, faith has definitely been
in
restored.
AAA pictures a little bit.
For the most part, yeah. And I think
You've seen Dune 2, right?
I have seen Dune 2, yes.
Okay, you have to see 3 in theaters.
Of course I'm going to see 3 in theaters.
I think I'm going to try to get, and it's probably not going to happen, but for the Doomsday, you know, I'm going to try to get like 10 tickets to each and then just tell like all my boys like, all right, I got 10 tickets. Let's go. Like, whoever wants it.
I mean, that's not a bad plan because they're going to be airing at the same time as each other for the most part.
We have to do Doomsday.
A Doomsday double feature?
Like with our friend groups extended, I'll get my little brother. Like, it'll be a lot of fun.
Okay, yeah, I'm down for that. I'm 100% down to it. But dude, I don't... 2 3-hour movies back to back.
Dude, we get lunch in the middle.
Okay, that's fair. Okay, yeah, we need a lunch break.
Yeah. We'll get sushi and ramen in the middle.
I'm gonna need a lunch break in between that double feature for sure.
I did that for Barbenheimer.
Just to like calm my brain down from what I just witnessed.
Whichever we watch first, I don't care. It's gonna be sick.
Now that's the question. Which one are we watching first? Dune 3 or Doomsday?
That's such a good question. Yeah. Screw talking about Doomsday exclusively. This is the topic now. Oh my God. Because the way I think about it is it's like Dune 3 is going to be amazing and it's going to be like a feat of cinematic achievement, right? Okay. It's going to be fantastic, right? So the question is, do you want to have your like peak cinema brain tickled first or second? Because there's potential for Doomsday to disappoint you. There is.
Mm-hmm.
So do you want to try to do that first? Doomsday is more of a popcorn roller coaster movie. Dune 3 is it's kind of the blend between blockbuster and film bro flick.
Yeah, it's a lot more cinematic.
Yeah, way more. The scale, blah blah blah, Villeneuve.
The way that I'm looking at it, it's going to have to be Doomsday first and then Dune 3 after just because Dune 3 is the conclusion of a trilogy and Doomsday will leave us wanting more for Secret Wars most likely.
Oh, yeah, that's a great point. I totally forgot about Secret Wars. They're doing it as a pair, just like Infinity War Endgame.
I believe so, yes.
Right?
So, obviously, Doomsday isn't going to be the end of that story.
Right. Well, it won't be as cathartic. We'll need to end that night with some friggin' catharsis because it's going to be like 7 hours of consumption.
Yeah, we're gonna have to have some resolution at the end. So like starting Doomsday first, I think is gonna have to be the way we go.
I'm more like giddy excited for Doomsday than I am for Dune 3. I think Dune 3 is gonna be a better movie. I think Dune is like maybe the greatest sci-fi project of all time. Not the movie. I mean, just Dune, like Herbert's work of Dune inspired so much. Blah blah blah. That you can't really think of them the same. But I'm like, especially after Spider-Man Brand New Day, I feel like the optimism's back. The faith in the MCU is back just enough, and Doom is sick. Those trailers were money.
Yeah, dude, the trailers have been so money. They've been making Doom look absolutely insane.
Oh, dude. And I'm trying so hard to avoid the leaks, but
I saw someone put out like a leak of the entire plot on Doomsday on Twitter, and I was like, I'm not reading that. I want to be surprised when I walk into that theater. I want to have my mind blown more or less, and think, oh my god, that was absolutely crazy, instead of it being like, oh, that was what happened in the leaks. Oh, there you go.
I'm gonna be pissed if it's 1-to-1 like the leaks, but I'm sure they're strategizing. I'm sure they're putting out fake stuff and red herrings and.
All kinds of BS like that. You know, Marvel's pretty known for like changing trailers and removing characters from trailers and switching some stuff around. People have noticed in trailers there's like giant empty spaces when they're like doing pan shots of the teams and everything like that. So yeah, we're just gonna have to wait and see. But I am 100% going to want to see Doomsday first.
I think you're in the right headspace there.
Okay,
I think
good.
that's what we should do.
I'm glad we can agree on that one.
But there is one popular theory that I think is kind of the big one right now that I know we've both been exposed to about how the movie starts. Theory. Do you want
theory? We can discuss. Go ahead.
You want to bring up that one?
Go ahead.
So potential spoilers, but maybe not. The movie's not even out. This is the theory online, the big one that's going on. That Doomsday opens with the X-Men attacking Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man's universe during an incursion.
Mm-hmm.
And in theory, we get a fight between just Spider-Man, and the entire X-Men, and maybe Wolverine too.
Yeah.
So if they kill Spider-Man, I'm walking out of the theater and then walking back in probably. But I would performatively leave, okay? But if he just dogs it and he rallies and they make Tobey a big part of Doomsday, oh my gosh, dream come true.
So then the question becomes, do you think Spider-Man can go up against the X-Men, the Fox X-Men universe, and actually win that fight?
Give him hell, Spidey. Maybe. Probably not. But maybe. Let's make the case. For Tobey Maguire.
You've got Tobey Maguire Spider-Man versus the Fox X-Men. Okay. So we're looking at Charles Xavier, Magneto, Gambit based on the trailer that showed us. Wolverine.
Of course.
Potentially Mystique, Nightcrawler, a couple other characters. You never know. Cyclops as well.
Cyclops is easy. He's going to use Cyclops to hurt everybody else, man. You know?
He webs Cyclops' beam button, forcing him to shoot somebody else.
Sure.
That's a pretty easy takedown. He's too quick for Wolverine. Wolverine can cut his webs, sure, but I just think that Tobey Spider-Man is too quick for Wolverine. I think
arguably stronger than Wolverine too.
I don't think Gambit will be that much of an issue for him.
No, and we have to assume Tobey's Spider-Man is not holding back. That's the whole thing with Peter. We're assuming he's not holding back. We're assuming that like he knows that MJ and everyone's gonna die if he doesn't beat the X-Men here. This is what we're assuming.
So I think the ultimate challenges here are Charles Xavier and Magneto.
Has to be.
These are the two ultimate challenges that Peter has to face, because you have Magneto and his obviously controls metal, and then Charles Xavier is a telepath that we don't know or not if he could just zap Peter's brain completely. Now, I did actually have a theory about this, that because Tom Holland's Peter Parker was able to resist Jean Grey's mind control with his spider sense in Brand New Day, that potentially Tobey could do sort of the same thing with Charles Xavier. Obviously, there's no real basis for that, but
you know what it reminds me of? All the Dragon Ball power scaling comps, and we're like, Vegeta protected himself against Babadi's mind control. It's the same thing, bro. I swear, the same asphalt.
But
no, it has some credence.
There is some foundation for that, because Tobey has natural web shooters, right? So by assumption, because Peter obtained natural web shooters in Brand New Day, Tom Holland's Peter Parker did after the mutation, we can assume that Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man
Started
started with the mutation
Sure,
already.
I'll buy that. I'll bite that, and then let's assume he can't get O-code by
By
Charles.
he can't just get like
can't get
Holocaust. He
O-code.
can't get Holocaust beamed by
Yeah,
Charles.
Doom! Like, bro.
Ultimate technique. Directly inputting the entire Holocaust into your brain.
Mind crush. It's just mind crush.
So if we can
From
assume
Yu-Gi-Oh.
that Toby has
Bro.
the same kind of resistance to mind
Sure.
control that Tom Holland Spider-Man does, then I think that he can defend himself against Charles Xavier.
Magneto's
going to be a problem. Yes, 100% a problem.
He's at his most like he has the most utility fighting in New York City. That's how he was designed. That's why you don't see Spider-Man fighting in Kansas where he doesn't have things to swing on.
Yeah.
He's swinging on anything. Magneto could
just move it. Yeah.
I guess there's a lot of concrete, but there's a lot of metal too.
But there's metal rebar in that concrete.
Yeah, great point.
Yeah, so he can move buildings no problem.
So Magneto is in a really good environment. He's getting like, you know how in Yu-Gi-Oh, once again, you could lay down like the landscape, like the environment cards, and it gives you a buff if you're a certain type. His environment is
He's got a field
running
spell.
Drought. Kyogre with drought running right now. All right?
Kyogre with drought.
The drizzle ability causes. Oh my god.
Try that again for me.
You know what I mean? I was thinking drizzle and rainy day.
Okay.
But no. Yeah.
So yeah, we have to just. Magneto is definitely going to be his biggest problem. I wanted to point out that obviously Toby doesn't have web shooters, so Magneto can't just like rip his web shooters out of him or anything along those lines.
I do think that if he gets close enough to any single one of these X-Men and punches them hard, he will kill them. Like I think he could one punch the majority of those X-Men because they don't have durability.
Aside from Wolverine,
they're all just civilians with powers.
Yeah.
Toby is punching their teeth out through the back of their skull, dude.
Yeah, you're probably right. Like I said, I think the only real problems he has is Charles and Magneto.
Yeah.
That's really it. Wolverine's gonna keep getting back up, but Wolverine doesn't have the output to like deal with Toby Spider-Man specifically. Like
There's
Toby
a great
Spider-Man
match.
is the strongest Spider-Man. So
Well, after Brand New Day, I'm sure you can argue that it's
You can
Tom
argue-
now,
you can
for
argue it's
sure.
Tom.
Because dude, he was fighting the Incredible. I saw a comparison. It was like a feat. It was like which feat's more impressive, and it's Toby getting choked out by Venom and like punched point blank by Sandman over and over again, and then it was Peter getting slammed by the Hulk, and it's like, all right,
yeah,
that is the Incredible Hulk. Like,
yeah, you're not wrong.
but I'm sure you could still argue either way, because like, I don't know. Toby's older now. You can pull some shit like, oh well, 20 years after as a Spider-Man he's fighting. You could assume he's a little strong. I don't know.
Yeah, he's not, or maybe he's even weaker than he was back in the day. You never
Or
know.
that too. Yeah, good point.
So yeah, that's about where we are on Doomsday right now. It's going to be definitely an enjoyable and an interesting
I'm excited,
experience.
man.
I am
super
excited
hyped.
for it. I'm excited to care about Marvel again, dude.
Yup.
I'm so excited to care about Marvel
And guess
again.
what? Call us chuds. Call us chuds. I'm hyped to see Captain America again. Okay? I'm hyped to see Steve Rogers, man. I'm hyped to see Steve Rogers, man.
Yeah, like Steve is definitely going to be a highlight of the movie. It's going to be great to see Chris Evans back on the screen again. He's just so charismatic, especially as Cap.
Dude, why does he kind of look like Asmongold in the trailer though, bro?
Don't say that.
Like he do not.
Don't
he is
say that,
not-
bro.
His fit, the hair beard combo he's rocking in the trailer, something is off.
Dude, it's just because Chris Evans is older. That's literally it. That's
I've
literally
seen him
all there
mog
is
in his
to
other
it.
picks. I've seen him mog all over Hollywood.
That one, I know exactly what shot you're talking about when he hands the hammer back to Thor in the trailer, and people were like, "Oh, it looks like he's had
it's
a
the hair, dude. It's
It
not,
looks
it's
like
the
he's had a
hair.
facelift. It's the mixture of the hair, the beard, and the fact that he's a few years older than the last time we saw him as Cap.
Yeah, I'm aware of that. I'm just clowning it. I think the hair is kind of hilarious. But it also, that could potentially be not actually Cap. There's some theories coming out about
Yeah,
that.
there are theories that like, oh, it's Loki using
Right.
Cap's body
Because the
to
actual
like.
Cap we see in the rest of the trailers doesn't look like that also.
Yeah. Well, we'll just have to wait and see. I mean,
Yeah.
that's just the hype around Doomsday right now. So that's where we are on Doomsday. Nothing super crazy. Obviously,
No hot takes, really.
No super hot takes. We're just excited for it.
Yeah.
That's just all there is.
If that's
to
a
it.
hot take, then sure. But I'd say I'm above average excited for Doomsday. I'm really hyped to see another Avengers movie. Like, yeah, we grew up with them. They were so foundational to our experience in media. Like, it informed everything.
Yeah, man. I mean, there's really not much more else to say besides that. I'm kind of wanted to pivot here. Obviously, we've done our Doomsday talk. We've done our One Piece talk.
Now
it's time
the important stuff.
Now the important stuff. It's time to catch up on what books we've been reading, because we know we have somewhat of a book talk fan base at this point, considering that our Red Rising videos have done shockingly well.
Because Red Rising is just the best thing ever made by anyone.
So that's the thing. I was like,
thank you, Pierce.
I've seen lists all over the place. People talking about like dude bro fantasy and stuff like that.
It's quickly establishing itself as the quintessential dude bro fantasy book.
Is Red Rising. So I've seen people do Red Rising.
It'll boost your test if you read it.
The Will of the Many. I've seen. I've seen people talk about a lot. Dungeon Crawler Carl. A couple other series right there, but I don't see people include the Wheel of Time enough in dude bro fantasy conversations.
I never do either.
And I understand why it isn't included, but like, dude, the Wheel of Time is just a shonen action anime. I'm sorry, it just is. It 100% is. I will die on that hill that the Wheel of Time is just a battle shonen disguised as a fantasy book.
Yeah, with a fantasy coat of paint on it.
So I recently got around to finishing book 3 of the Wheel of Time, which is the Dragon Reborn, and there's a scene at the end of that book where Rand, the main character, does the most anime shit of all time, bro. I was like, I literally could visualize it animated in my head perfectly with like a map of art style and stuff like that. So there's a scene where, this doesn't really spoil anything, but there's a scene where an enemy shoots like a beam of like light plasma at Rand, and he takes a sword and splits the beam down the middle, and it shoots to the side and goes through like 12 pillars behind him and just blasts holes through them. And I was like, I just imagine Jogo versus Sukuna.
Yeah, straight up.
Like that shot of Jogo using his head blast to like shoot through multiple buildings. That's what I was imagining those beams splitting like. I was like, dude, that's so anime, bro.
Dude, I love it because it's like when you're reading, you change the studio that's animating it in your head.
Yes, exactly.
So like, I'll be reading Red Rising, and in one moment it's 20th Century Fox or New Line Cinema, Lord of the Rings style, like really like elaborate cinematography, gladiator set pieces on the spaceships. And then if it's like a one-on-one fight, maybe I'll pivot. I'm like, oh, here we go, Mappa, lock in, Darrow's fighting. All right, it's time to have some impact frames.
You just imagine just insane choreography going on.
I've reread the fight at the end of Lightbringer. I've reread like 8 times. Like I'll read it when I'm like not feeling well and I want to hype myself up. And every time I'll remix it, remaster it.
Well, The Dragon Reborn was fun because the first 2 books are mainly told from Rand's point of view for the entirety. And then in book 3, you get no Rand point of view chapters until the very end.
Oh, delayed gratification.
So it's heavily delayed gratification. Yep. And the second he shows up, he starts popping off. And it's genuinely nuts.
That's the best. Protag hits the scene, hits the streets, and is just dominating.
Yeah, so when Rand gets a hold of Kalendor, which is the sword that I mentioned, he genuinely just like locks the fuck in and starts hunting down everybody who's been chasing him the entire book. Dude, it's so cool.
He's like, wait, I can do things now.
Well, he says it himself. He's like the hunt has changed. I'm the hunter and the bad guy's the hunted. He's like, I've become the hunter now.
That's so sick.
So book 2 and 3. So
is this the cover? The senior reference?
Yeah, when he's holding the sword in the sky. Yeah, that's Kalendor. So I really thought that the first book of the Wheel of Time was just really slow, and it is for the most part because a lot of the first book is a lot of world building.
People were chirping you for saying that.
And people were chirping me for saying that.
Most popular critique of the series.
I mean, it's not that it's people call Wheel of Time a slog for a different reason, but what I was saying was that the pacing in the first book of the Wheel of Time is very slow because a lot of the book is world building and characters going from place to place. A lot of the characters haven't figured out how to use the magic system yet, and they're just slowly coming into it. Book 2 hits the ground running because Rand has learned the magic system at this point. And so the entire book is Rand just aura farming like crazy and cooking enemies and just doing super dope shit. And all the way up until the end when there's a giant battle at the end of book 2. So book 2, if I had to give a rating, easy 10 out of 10 for me, even though I give book 1 like an 8 out of 10 rating, The Eye of the World, but The Great Hunt is a 10 out of 10 book experience. 100%. I think it's going to end up being one of my favorite Wheel of Time books when I finish. And then Dragon Reborn, Rand is nowhere to be seen, but it's still gas. Because in Dragon Reborn, you get Matt Cawthon, who is one of the 3 main characters, the third bro. You get his POV starting in the 3rd book, and you didn't have any of them for the first 2. And his powers are so freaking
Right.
cool, man. So
Yeah,
his
it's like
powers,
the ancient stuff, right?
dude, his powers are entirely luck based.
Oh.
So the more random of an encounter he is in, the more lucky he becomes in any given situation.
So if he gets like jumped by a bandit on the street, he's just like a god.
So like what would essentially happen was if the bandit tries to jump him just randomly on the side of the road, bandit could end up tripping over a rock, and then his knife falls out of his hand, and as the bandit falls, the knife just goes.
It's
into
that
his throat.
strong?
Yes, dude. There's a scene in book 3 where he's fighting a guy on a rooftop,
Dude.
and just they came completely out of nowhere. He trips, knocks the dude off of the building. As they're falling, he slams into him. The knife ends up in the guy's heart, and he lands on top of him, surviving the fall because the guy cushioned
Broke his fall.
Yeah.
That's some bullshit.
It is some bullshit. And guess what? Throughout that entire night, he'd been gambling, and who knows how many gambling dents, and literally won every single dice roll he tossed.
Okay, yeah. I know a lot of buddies that would love this power.
Yeah, so it's an insanely cool ability for a character to have. I love luck-based abilities so much, and he saves that book because if that entire book was Perrin and Egwene, I would have wanted to drive my head through a wall. But Matt saves that. Matt saves book 3 so much for me. I love his character so much. So yeah, Dragon Reborn, another 10 out of 10 for me.
Another 10.
Absolute
Dang.
peak for Dragon Reborn.
Okay, so if you treat the first 3 Wheel of Time books as their own trilogy, right? How do you think they stack up against the first Mistborn trilogy for you?
Ooh, if you're a fan of Mistborn, you might want to click off now because I'm about to slander your goat.
It's because you haven't read Secret History and you don't know what shit's going on in the background.
Nope. Stop right now. I love Mistborn. It got me back into reading fantasy again. I love it so much. I really do. I love all the characters. I love the characters. I love the story so much. The first 3 books of the Wheel of Time make the first 3 Mistborn.
Go ahead.
The first 3 books. The first 3 Wheel of Time books make the first 3 Mistborn books look like they were written for children. I'm sorry, they just do.
Bruh.
You just gotta accept it, bro.
Bruh.
It's epic fantasy versus like YAE kind of fantasy, dude.
You gotta read Stormlight. That's a better comparison question for me to ask.
I mean, probably because Stormlight's gonna end up being like 10 books long at the end of it. So, and Wheel of Time is 15 books long. But dude, like I loved Mistborn a lot, but Wheel of Time is just on a whole other level for me. Like out of all the books I've read in my life, I'd probably only put Lord of the Rings above it.
Wow.
Because, dude, Rand is such a compelling main character. I love Perrin. I love Matt. Egwene gets on my nerves sometimes, but she's got cool abilities too. I love Nynaeve as a character. Tom Maryland is dope. There's so many cool characters in Wheel of Time. You'll like open up a chapter of Wheel of Time expecting like something normal, and then Robert Jordan will be like, "Oh yeah, here's 10 new characters that you have to remember," and they're all dope as fuck, by the way. So like, there's so many characters to remember, but they're all so cool, and everything ties together so well.
I'm gonna be geeked if your favorite Wheel of Time book ends up being the last one that Sanderson wrote. That would be really.
I mean,
fun.
a lot of people's favorite books does seem to be Memory of Light.
It's the conclusion though, so he has the benefit of just wrapping up all the work that Robert put in.
An entire book of payoffs.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it's the payoff of payoffs. He's like, oh yeah, get to do your Sanderlanche thing. I built everything already. You're good. That's like the best possible environment for Brandon Sanderson to thrive in.
Exactly,
like, bro.
So, the book I have up next is book 4, Shadows Rising, which a lot of people... Shadows Rising.
Rising?
Yeah.
You know what else is rising?
My God.
Right now? Right now? This isn't the first time this has happened, ladies and gentlemen. This happens consistently.
No, but Shadows Rising is like consistently rated like the best Wheel of Time book by people, so I'm really excited to get into that. Now, I have taken a break from reading the Wheel of Time to go ahead and continue into the Cosmere. After I finished Dragon Reborn, I started Warbreaker, and that's been fine. Like, I've been enjoying Warbreaker for what it is. I'm 16 or so chapters in. Like, for people that have read Warbreaker, basically, Ciri just got announced to the Court of Gods for the first time. I'm interested. Nothing really has happened yet, though, and I'm kind of annoyed at that. I'm 150 pages into the book, and we're not exactly any further than we were at the start. So, hopefully, it picks up. I'm interested in the Talking Sword more than I am anything else, and how that plays into everything.
Tell me if you agree with this. Like, when I was starting Warbreaker, the whole time I'm just thinking like, all right, these chicks are pretty cool, but like, the God King up to right
What's
now?
the
I'm
God
like, what's
King,
the God King up to right now?
Dude, Sanderson has written
Like,
so far
God
of all the
King,
Sanderson
he just
books I've
keeps
read. There's
doing-
3 God Kings so far.
he just keeps ripping God Kings. like
you got the-
Ratriar.
You've got the Lord Ruler. You've got the King of Hallandren, Sisebron, and you've got Ratriar from Infinity Blade.
Crazy.
That's 3 different God Kings.
This Mormon mofo loves his God Kings. All right, respect.
Which is crazy because like the amount of people that aren't going to know that he wrote Infinity Blade is actually crazy.
Yeah. You want to break that?
I'll break that
news?
down. The first
It's awesome.
the first Sanderson book I ever read was an Infinity Blade book back when I was a kid.
I remember you telling us, like, our friend group in middle school about him reading it, and I was like, oh, yeah, that's probably pretty cool. 10 years later, like, the author bringing us back to the ball game also wrote that.
Dude, the Infinity Blade books are so good, man. They bridge together so basically it goes game 1, book 1, game 2, book 2, game 3. And the books go in between what happens in between each game.
Right.
And so they also do flashbacks into how this world came to be, how quantum identity patterns were created by the worker, what society was like before the world became like this, like who Ratriar's parents are is also part of it. Like I'm trying my best to remember a good amount of it because I read it over a decade ago. So it's been a very long time. I was probably way too young to be reading those books in the grand scheme of things.
Really
Those books
appreciated in full.
not just that, but those books are probably too violent for like an 11
Yeah.
and 12-year-old to be reading.
Yeah, I know, I bet.
Especially when it comes to like the discussion around Ratriar's parents and how like he got his chance to become a god essentially.
Now I just want to go watch like a YouTube lore video.
You can probably find a
this,
YouTube
yeah.
lore video on Infinity Blade that explains what goes on in the books.
Shout
pretty
out
easily.
Infinity Blade lore video content creators. All right, they're
guys are
feeding
still-
families.
Absolutely. If you guys are still around, if Infinity Blade's still even that popular.
I'm sure there's a cult following. I'm
So yeah,
sure.
and then wrapping back around to Wheel of Time, one thing I wanted to talk about is because now that I finished the first 3 books, which also cover the first 3 seasons of the Wheel of Time TV show.
I was gonna say,
Go ahead.
do you to what extent do you think the Wheel of Time TV show captured the essence of the first 3 books?
Not in the slightest. It fails so many times on so many levels to grasp just what's so good about the books.
Ass.
No, the problem that the show has is that the show tried its best to not tell the story from the main character's point of view. They tried to have it be a mystery on who the Dragon Reborn is, they tried to tell it from another character's point of view and her trying to figure out the secret and mystery behind everything because the actor that was playing her was the big actor on stage. She was also part of the showrunners, Rosamund Pike. She was in charge of everything and she wanted her character to be the main character. So unfortunately that resulted in Rand, the main character, getting sidelined. And then despite the fact
Rand.
Yeah, they pretty much sidelined the main character and it sucks.
So you're telling me it's like they wrote the story of Harry Potter but made like Professor McGonagall the MC?
I'd say probably more like
That kind of sounds sick.
probably more like
McGonagall's dope, but
probably
like,
more
it's
like
not it.
probably more like being told from Dumbledore's point of view, but like if Dumbledore was nowhere near as cool.
Okay. And then if Dumbledore was lame as shit.
Yeah. So it's not that her character Moiraine is lame. It's just that she's a very conservative style character. She like all she cares about is her mission and making sure that the world gets saved and that Rand does what he's supposed to do and eventually defeats the Dark One. She wants to manipulate him for her own ends to make sure that the world gets saved at the end of the day. And Rand wants nothing to do with that.
And is this in the books?
This is in the books, and in the show it's kind of similar as well, but it's told from her point of view, so it makes Moiraine look like not as much of an asshole as she is in the books, just manipulating everything that's going on behind the scenes. Like the first 3 books, Rand is just like, I fucking hate Aes Sedai so much. I hate Moiraine. Why are you trying to make me do this? And then you don't get that in the books or in the show because Rand is sidelined. And a good example of that is episode 1 of The Wheel of Time. In the books, there's a moment when a horde of Trollocs, which are essentially the orcs of this series, raid the main character's home village, and that's the kickstart of their entire journey.
Okay,
Now,
dude, did they do like the Trollocs are conscious beings too.
No, they don't do that.
Oh, thank God. Dude,
They don't do
did
that.
that in Rings of Power, and I was like, are we really doing this with the orcs, bro?
No, so Trollocs.
No, this is stupid.
Trollocs are amalgamations of men and animals that were created by the Dark One as to like be his armies at the beginning of the beginning of the series.
Beast creatures.
Yeah, essentially. So they attack the village, and in the books, Rand is away in his mountain cabin with his dad. They live like pretty far away from the village itself because they're farmers. They have their sheep herd. They live like up along a mountain pass. It's about like 5 kilometers away from the village. So for the most part, when the Trollocs attack, you don't know they've attacked the village in the books until Rand himself gets to the village after fending off dozens of them at his own house and dragging his pretty much dying father through 5 kilometers of wilderness trying to avoid these monsters. And then he gets to the village and finds out that it's been destroyed. In the show, you get 20 seconds of Rand fighting one Trolloc, and it cuts away to Moiraine's character whipping around CGI magic and saving the village. And it completely takes away from the coolest scene from the beginning of the book, which is Rand coming into his own and deciding like, I need to do this. I need to save my dad.
I need to save my dad.
Yeah, I need to cook here.
Yeah, I need to cook here.
It's one of my favorite parts of the book, and it's completely removed from the show, and it pisses me off so much, dude. It's so annoying. And another problem the show has is that
Too many cooks in the kitchen, man. That's why I'm so glad Sanderson's getting like pretty much unilateral control over his projects with that.
yeah, dude. If Sanderson had unilateral
pretty
control
much
over if he had unilateral control over Wheel of Time, it would have been completely different because he was consulted on Wheel of Time.
Really?
So it could have gone in a completely different way, and he's done interviews about it and said like, oh, it's all right, it's not that bad, because he's definitely contractually obligated to not talk trash about it. Dude, the other thing that the show just completely ruins is the magic system.
Really?
So the one thing with the one power is the more you use the one power, if you're a man, the more insane you go.
Right.
And even if you're a woman, you can still get heavily addicted to using the one power. Like, because when you use the magic system in the Wheel of Time, you feel like you're alive. Like, you feel like you're 10 times the person you were previously. You have power coursing through your veins.
Right.
You feel like you're divine. So a lot of characters tend to get hooked on that, and it spirals them out of control, and they need to like constantly tell themselves, no, I have to stop using the magic, otherwise I'm going to get too hooked on it. And that's completly taken out of the show. That's not a part of the show at all.
That's the tension generator.
Yeah, exactly. Like Rand still has the problem Rand still has the problem in the show of like going insane from using the magic system, but the female characters who totally do get hooked on the magic in the books don't have the same problem in the show. They just kind of wield the magic freely and don't have any problems with it at all. And it's like, and then they change around so many plot points. Characters end up in different places. Characters make different decisions that result in something being completely different than what it is 2 seasons later. In the books, Matt Cawthon, the reason he doesn't have any POVs until the 3rd book is because he's cursed by a dagger that he picked up for the entirety of the first 2 books. And the only way he can cure himself from that dagger is for the Aes Sedai witches in Tar Valon to essentially use their powers and concentrate all their abilities with a bunch of them together to clean the curse out from his body. In the show, he just says, nah, I'm going to do my own thing, and then disappears from the group.
He pulls a Miles and he just dips?
Yeah, and he just dips, and he doesn't go with them. And it's like, hold on, you have to get yourself healed from this dagger,
There's a reason that you're not around right now. That I wrote for you. He gave the he justified the,
Yeah, and so they butcher it so badly. If I had to pick a way for Wheel of Time to be readapted, it would 100% have to be animated, because one of the other big problems is the Wheel of Time is a 15-book long series. You have to, if each season takes 2 years to make, that's going to span 30 years. So you have.
And this ain't One Piece. All right, people are gonna age out. Productions change.
Exactly, that's the thing. Your actors are gonna age out by the time you catch up to the later books. So if Wheel of Time is gonna be done right, it has to be animated, 100%. Now there were some leaks a little while ago from the people that had the rights to the Wheel of Time that potentially the guy that directed Arcane could end up directing a Wheel of Time animated show. Now I think that would be insane if Wheel of Time got an adaptation from the Arcane studio and had that same kind of animation. It would be glorious. Dude, it would be so cool.
My boy, you got to remember that every reader on the planet wants their book to be adapted in Arcane style by that studio.
Yeah, and
that is the most common. Everyone says it, and I feel like everyone kind of thinks they're like a little clever for thinking of this, and it's low key like the most popular way that people present how to animate this project. But so sorry to burst the bubble, but yeah, everybody wants that, man. Like I would love that for us. I would love if everything could get it.
Yeah,
arcane
so
level adaptation.
I would really appreciate that if that does happen. I seriously doubt it will.
Makes sense, though. I feel like it makes sense for like a property to, like a fantasy IP to justify that much cash being poured into a project.
If anyone's gonna do it, it's Wheel of Time.
It's got to be Wheel of Time. I mean, it's up there in the conversation.
And even if it's not the same studio as Arcane, it needs to be an animated show, so you don't have to worry about the actors aging out.
Yeah,
it's just a fact of the matter. There's no way you're gonna be able to pick an actor that can accurately portray Rand from age 19 to where he is at the end of the books.
Yeah.
So you have to find a young guy, and then by the end of the books, he still has to be like a relatively young guy.
Yeah, he'd be like 45 by the end of it. 15 years you could make work.
Yeah, but you'd have to do a season a year, which would be very difficult to pull off. So yeah, Wheel of Time, if it's ever gonna get adapted, needs to be animated. Mappa. Mappa, animate the Wheel of Time in my life. It's yours.
Mappa. Yeah, that's peak.
So yeah, that's how I've been feeling about Wheel of Time. I'm definitely I'm definitely gonna blitz through Warbreaker as fast as I can, just so I don't have to worry about it anymore, and then get back into reading Wheel of Time.
Yeah. Right now I'm working on Empire of Silence by Christopher.
Oh, you're doing Sun Eater.
Yes.
Is that the first book?
Yeah, first book.
First Sun Eater book.
Really cool so far. He's super. I have not read enough of it to make any valid comments.
Okay,
but it seems pretty cool so far. Like the one
then.
thing that was missing from Red Rising, this is the last that I'll say. The only thing, this isn't even a critique, because if Pierce had to make this, if Pierce put as much time as he could have into the world building infrastructure, then he would not be able to as effectively tell the stories about the characters as effectively as he is, to be fair. But it is kind of like, all right, this world has grav boots, so we can fly,
Yeah.
In Sun Eater, I'm getting the vibe that he's going to break down all the mechanisms of every system in this world. So that I'm really excited for. But yeah.
Alrighty then. Well, that's all I have to talk about today. That was quite a long pod. I think we're coming up on like an hour and a half.
Really?
Potentially.
It's because we haven't talked about Doomsday together yet. Yeah. That's literally why.
And the One Piece reveal this morning.
Yeah,
all right.
That was big. But
I'm fine with wrapping it up there.
Yeah, we call it.
All right. Well, thank you guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode of the Fantasy Open Podcast. We'd like to put out episodes a little bit more consistently. Unfortunately, our living situations do not exactly allow super consistent.
If we were neighbors,
episodes.
We'd be ripping the bi-weekly.
Yeah, but so we're gonna focus on obviously getting around to it when we can. We're not gonna stress about getting episodes out every single week. But when we get the chance to give you guys content, we 100% will. Yeah. So thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we will see you next time.
Later, guys. Love the comments, too. Keep answering the polls. I love it.
Peace.
Thanks, guys.